Hey, good evening, everyone. Hope everybody's having a good day. Hope it's been a good week for everyone. I know it's been a little bit since we've been on, but definitely appreciate y'all joining us, coming on in, showing some love and support. Always appreciate that. If you're in, go ahead and take a minute, say hey, let us know you're here. Just say hey, want you to be part of the conversation. As always, it's not. Sometimes the conversations are easy, sometimes not so much, but I'm glad we're here tonight. The topic tonight has been something that's kind of been weighing on my heart for a while, actually. And, I just felt that I need, or I want to, just kind of share my heart, share my thoughts on the topic tonight. So, we're going to try to put the pieces of the puzzle together, for a lack of better words. But again, as always, thank y'all so much for the love, the support. As always, it's very much so appreciated. Invite somebody in, like, share, drop a note, let us know you can hear us, let us know you're here. As we continue the episode tonight and talk about the topic, by all means, go ahead, jump in, share your thoughts, your opinions. Definitely appreciate that, as always. So for those of you that don't know, a while back, probably about a month or so ago, maybe 2 months ago, we had to kind of start from scratch with the Facebook page and the social media. So if you're not already following Reflections with Dr. Gary Harvey on Facebook, want to encourage you to do so. Also, if you've been blessed, touched, anything, in that regard, by the page, I want to encourage you to leave a recommendation, leave a review on the page. Let us know your thoughts. It definitely helps with the algorithm. It helps us do what we need to do to grow and keep moving forward. What's up, Steve? How you doing tonight? By all means, too, if you're free, Steve, you can hop on in. I don't know if you saw what the topic is or not, but if you want to jump on, you're more than welcome, as always. But definitely appreciate you guys, as always, and want to encourage you again, no matter what it's looking like out there. I know it's looking rough. Every time we turn around, it seems like more and more bad news from somewhere, some direction, something going on. But keep your head up, because it's going to get better. Sometimes it's got to get worse before it gets better, but the sun always comes up. And that's one thing that you can rest assured on. So with that being said, we are going to hop into the episode here. I want to just kind of play the intro video, give you guys an idea of what we're talking about tonight, and then we will get started. All right, you guys. So again, putting the pieces to the puzzle together. Well, Steve, make sure while you're on the road that you stay nice and safe. But appreciate you tuning in and listening. So I wanted to take a minute tonight and, talk about the putting the pieces of the puzzle together, right? So, what exactly is it that I'm talking about with the puzzle? Well, if you think about it, the pieces of the puzzle pieces are those various things that are our diversity, right? It's what makes us unique as individuals and as a culture, as a group, as a country, right? Whether that be, I'm glad, whether that is, the our ethnicity, whether it's our perspectives, whether it's our social statuses, whether it's our gender, our sexual orientation, whether it's our faith background, all these different aspects of diversity, right? These are the pieces to the puzzle. And when you put the puzzle together, to simplify it, right? When you put the puzzle together, that finished project, that finished picture, that's inclusion, right? And right now, unfortunately, we are in a situation in a lot of places, in a lot of areas, where we can't get to inclusion. We can't get a finished puzzle because nobody wants to bring the pieces together. And I say nobody, I use that loosely because there's a lot of people that are really trying to make forward progress. There are a lot of people that are really trying to make a difference. There are a lot of people that are trying to approach things with an open mind. But we seem to, in this country, constantly run into these major roadblocks. And before we go any further, I do want to say that, thoughts and prayers, condolences to those that were lost in the shooting in Buffalo. This domestic white terrorist, white supremacist, and that terrible situation. Well, Doc, what do you call him a terrorist for? Well, because we need to start calling him what he is. He didn't allegedly kill him. He did. And the way that things get spun sometimes, these are the roadblocks to that inclusion. These are the roadblocks to really enhancing and capitalizing on the diversity that we have. If we put all these pieces of diversity together, the finished product would be beautiful. It really would. But we have this roadblock in this country, that this and we're going to do another topic, another podcast episode on this topic more in depth. But one of the hurdles to really reaching and attaining that inclusion, that finished puzzle, right? That finished product, that finished picture that makes sense. One of the biggest hurdles to that, unfortunately, has become religion. Oftentimes conservative evangelical, like it, and it's unfortunate that I have to say that, right? That I have to talk about what my belief system, the category it generally falls into. But it's unfortunately been twisted, it's been marred, it's been diluted, it's been tainted, it's been it's turned into something toxic, unfortunately. I've said for a number of years, and like I said, I'm planning on a future episode about this topic. But I feel like one of the biggest problems with the church in America is the fact that it's the American church. Now I'm gonna say that again, because I know not everybody's gonna catch it, not everybody's gonna understand it, no matter how many times they hear it. But one of the biggest problems with the church in America is that it's the American church. We, unfortunately, in this country, oftentimes we equate our Christianity, we equate with our political party. We equate with certain aspects, that if we don't stand up for certain things, well, that you can't be a Christian, and you're denying your faith, and you need to stand up and fight. And if you're a Democrat, you're a baby butcherer, and all this foolishness that we hear. And it's hysterical to me too, that Christians take such a hardline stance. And Democrat, they just want to be socialists. Oh, really? These food pantries, these clothing giveaways, these soup kitchens, these different programs that churches run and operate to help communities, to help individuals that are in need. You look at Jesus, oftentimes in his ministry and his teachings, the early church, very much so socialist. Uh-huh. I know, it's painful. It's painful to hear. You know what else didn't happen in the Christian church, right? In Christ's teachings, even though he would stand and he would speak against certain things, right? That's wrong. This is wrong. Should do this. Don't do this, right? Um, I don't recall him forcing anything on another individual, right? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I know there's all kinds of Bible scholars out there that self-proclaimed bishops and prophets and apostles and pastors, teachers, but unfortunately, nothing was ever forced. Yet here we have a group of individuals proclaiming to be followers and lovers of Christ, and their main goal and agenda is to force their belief on another individual. When you have to force your belief on someone else, even if they start following and adhering to what that belief is, it's not sincere to them. I'm sorry, it's not. They're doing it out of fear or some need to comply or some other mentality, and unfortunately that's not the case. That's not, it's not a true decision. It's not a true, and just because you don't believe what I believe. You guys have heard on House Call, myself and Dax, we've had this conversation because Dax is follows the Islamic faith, and he and we've had this conversation, like, listen, just because he and I don't think the same or believe the same doesn't mean he's afforded less respect, or I'm afforded less respect, or I'm afforded less rights than he is. But unfortunately, we have this mentality somewhere in this country that's rooted in this mindset. Like, white supremacy, unfortunately, has been so embedded into the mindset and the culture of America that we have this warped belief, this warped thought process, that causes us to feel like, oh, we're better than them because they don't believe like me, they don't think like me, they don't operate like me, they don't vote like me, they don't. And so we begin to chip away at the pieces of the puzzle, right? At the diversity that really is going to make us great, that's going to make that finished product beautiful, something that we can admire. Now, I don't know about you guys. I don't personally do it. I used to put puzzles together all the time when I was a kid. Um, don't really anymore, but I know individuals that still, they put puzzles together, and when they finish the puzzle, when they get that picture completed, then they go ahead and they coat the puzzle, or whatever, so it's glued together and it stays fixed. And sometimes they frame it and display it, because it's a beautiful finished product. But if you look at what goes into that finished product, there were so many different pieces, shapes, sizes, colors, all these different pieces of diversity, right? That made it an opportunity to become that beautiful finished product. We have to get past our mindset thinking that if you don't think like me, then you're wrong. That doesn't mean you're wrong. Listen, my faith can tell me one thing, and that's fine, and I'm going to walk it out and I'm going to live it. And if you choose to ask me questions about my faith, or allow me the opportunity to speak into your life in reference to that, and we have those types of conversations, well, then that's awesome. But I'm not going to force my mindset and my thought process on anybody else, nor am I going to treat them like they're less of an individual because they don't think like me, because they don't vote like me, because they don't dress like me. We unfortunately are in a situation. We just had local school board elections, and I was one of the candidates, and got my butt kicked in the polls, unfortunately. But there were two other individuals on the ballot as well that were outstanding individuals and would have been fantastic representatives on the school board, really looking out for the best interests of the young people. And unfortunately, neither of them won either. Individuals that won have had a history of an outspoken level of hate and bigotry, and it's students even speaking out about their negative experiences. One individual went so far as to scrub his Facebook page and remove the various comments that he made, as if people don't screenshot them. But unfortunately, this area kind of showed where its mindset's at. And we're in a situation, not just in our local area. I mean, we had a diversity and equity inclusion committee here in the city of Olean, and we were working towards addressing various disparities, whether it be in city policy, opportunities to recruit, and allow the city staff to become more diverse, to make this area more vibrant, more welcoming, to make Olean a place where people would want to come and raise their kids instead of leaving. But it seems like every time people in this area try to make progress, they try to put those pieces of the puzzle together, right? Because they're trying to make that picture. They're trying to utilize every different shape, every different color, every different piece of the puzzle. They're trying to utilize it and create that finished picture. It seems like every time they try to take a piece of that puzzle and put it in the center, someone comes along and knocks it out their hand. And the Equity and Inclusion Committee was completely disbanded. We were essentially fired by the mayor. And this was back in November, December timeframe, and supposedly there was supposed to reconvene. Now granted, many of us that were on the committee were essentially told that we probably wouldn't be asked back, but that still hasn't taken place. And here we are, the middle of May, Memorial Day is coming up, and still nothing, because it wasn't important to this mayor. This, and honestly, the city council, with the exception of one or two individuals, have not even commented or mentioned it. Like I said, there's been a couple members of the council that haven't. For that, I'm thankful and I appreciate that. Because it's a situation where we as a community keep trying to pick these pieces of the puzzle together. And now, even with the school board and the school district, we are in a situation where I hope it doesn't happen, but even the way that they changed policy, they had one policy set as far as the gender policy and the sexual harassment policy, and then they turned around and changed it and essentially took many steps backwards, removing a lot of the protection. Listen, just because that student doesn't think like you, believe like you, look like you, orientate like you, does not mean that they don't deserve those same protections, that they don't deserve that same respect, that they don't deserve those same opportunities. You don't have to believe like me for you to be a human being. You don't have to believe like me for me to be able to see the beauty in your uniqueness. I don't have to live like you for me to be able to respect you. You don't have to live like me for me to be able to respect you. Right? And it's one of these things where it's so unfortunate. And I saw several people in the community put posts up within the course of the last couple of days after the election, the school board election specifically, and cite how so often in this area, I'm speaking specifically to this area, so often there are individuals, they try to take steps forward. They try to pursue change. They try to enhance the situation. They try to embrace the diversity that's within this community. And unfortunately, there's so many people that tend to slap the hand out, slap the puzzle piece out of their hand as if they don't want the picture to be finished. And my question is, why are you so afraid of the finished product? Steve says, our Christianity in America, just like our imperialism and nationalism, has simply intended to perpetuate Greco-Roman culture and thinking. Even though Jesus was a revolutionary in upending thought processes of oppressive and unjust culture, religion, and relationships. Exactly. 100%. And it's unfortunate that this isn't the church in America, but it's the American church, right? We have this link to this level of patriotism, right? Like, make America great again. Well, that sounds positive, right? It's America great, patriotism, especially in these areas. That's what we need to do. Okay, well, how are we making it great? How are we making America great if we're not using the pieces of the puzzle that are available to us to complete the picture? How are we making America great if what we're doing is refusing to acknowledge the uniqueness? If what we're doing is telling people, no, you can't be you because I don't agree with it. Now, listen, you can disagree with people's lifestyles. You can. There's nothing wrong with that. You can disagree with, if you don't agree with, how somebody lives their life or what sexual orientation they are, what gender they identify with, or, anything. You can dislike those things. You cannot agree with those things, but you don't have the right to treat them like they're less than a person. Come on now. That's not right. That's not cool. If we could learn how to see past our own issues, our own insecurities, our own struggles, and if we could embrace the differences among us, if we could embrace those differences, you know what? I don't necessarily agree with what people do with their lives, good, bad, or indifferent, but it's what they choose to do with their lives. It's not my job to live their life. well, I'm a Christian, I got to stand up for my beliefs, right? Because if I deny him before people, he'll deny me, at the throne of, you're completely taking it out of context, right? There's I don't find in scripture anywhere where I'm supposed to control how somebody else lives. First of all, let's get that clear. Okay. I'm sorry. I don't see that in scripture at all. Not in the slightest bit. And the fact that my faith is becoming synonymous with hate speech is heartbreaking to me. It's heartbreaking to me, but that's what's happening. Individuals stand up in front of a community and proclaim themselves to be pastors, but they speak hatefully about other people that don't believe like them and think like them. Talking about they're supposed to show the love of Christ. How are you showing the love of Christ if all you do is hate people because they don't think like you, because they don't operate like you? Listen, man, I am so thankful for the individuals that I've had in my life that are of different faiths, right? I have individuals that are in my life on some level that are Muslim, that are Catholic, that are evangelical, that are atheists, that are Gnostic, that are. I have one individual that and he's an individual that he has a very interesting backstory, and I'm not going to throw his name out there. I don't want to do that without talking to him first. But coming from a background where he was heavily involved in that neo-Nazi skinhead movement, right? And he's completely come out of that and has some interesting perspectives on things. And I'm thankful to be able to sit down and have conversations with him about things that he went through, right? Things that he did, things that he regrets, things that he's glad he changed. That those are good conversations to have. I'm thankful for the people that I know that are in the LGBTQ community, right? Why? They have a different perspective on life. I can learn something different from them. I'm thankful for the individuals in my life that have multiple college degrees. I'm thankful for the individuals in my life that have only worked blue collar jobs and work construction and people that work in the office and people that work in finance. But why? Because these are all areas that I don't necessarily have access to, right? I'm thankful for the individuals that have chosen to be teachers and taken up that mantle to educate our kids and the students in this next generation. Like, I'm thankful for those individuals. Those are all pieces of the puzzle. Those are all things that make our communities great. But if we only focus on one piece of the community, we're never going to complete the entire picture. We're never going to complete the entire puzzle. And the problem is, oftentimes, we are only focused on one aspect of the puzzle, one piece of the puzzle. And that's the piece we're most comfortable with. And unfortunately, that's not the case. Every piece of the puzzle needs its opportunity to complete the whole picture. Every piece of the puzzle has to utilize its uniqueness in order for the picture to come together. And, we have the situation in Buffalo, right? I read a quote earlier today. It said that there were more white women outraged at the Will Smith slap of Chris Rock than of this mass shooting and this domestic terrorist in Buffalo. It's sad. Correction officers making jokes, 911 dispatchers hanging up on a 911 call. Like, the whole system is broken. It's broken on so many levels. And it's unfortunate. And it's broken in such a way that we're refusing pieces of the puzzle because they don't look like us, because they don't believe what we believe, because they don't vote like us, because they're not they don't claim whatever gender or their sexual orientation, or for whatever reason there's this push to prevent anyone that's different than what the quote unquote status quo is, right? And it's very, very difficult. Steve says, sadly, many come to the conversation with an us versus them mindset from all sides. And that's exactly right. They do. And it's not an us versus them. It's not. We can't complete the puzzle if we don't have every piece. And there's so many people that are trying to complete the puzzle and have been trying to complete the puzzle for so long. And people do get tired, they get exhausted, they get emotionally drained. But I'm thankful that these individuals are still, even though somebody knocked the puzzle piece out of their hand, they're still picking it back up and bringing it back to the table. You know, we have various things that have come out of the Equity and Inclusion Committee that was here in the city, things that we started, you know, to make things more accessible and whatnot. And, you know, there are various people that are trying to make things happen, trying to make a difference. You know, Tim Sherlock is an individual that was running for school board here in Olean, and that's one of the individuals that I said I would have made a wonderful, you know, addition to the school board. You know, he's very, you know, open-minded to the fact that he approaches things, and his thought process was, hey, look, let's look out for the best interests of all the students, not just one particular group of students. And that's, we need to be like that, not just with the students, but with every area of our lives, right? We've got to be willing to look out for the best interests of everyone, not just one particular group, not just the group that thinks like us. Because if every piece of the puzzle was the same, it wouldn't make anything. It wouldn't make anything. There would never be a finished product. There would just be a bunch of scattered pieces, all looking the same, all colored the same, all shaped the same. You know, and I hear it all the time. James, what's up, boss? Michelle, how are you doing? Thank you guys for joining. Um, it's one of these things that, you know, I hear oftentimes. Oh, I don't see color. I was raised not to see color. I was raised not to, you know, see people differently. But you need to. You need to see things differently in order to truly appreciate an individual's uniqueness. You have to see it. You have to acknowledge it. In order for me to really understand and be able to put the piece of the puzzle where it needs to go, I have to be able to see the shape of the puzzle. I have to be able to see where it interlocks. I have to be able to see the colors. I have to be able to understand where that puzzle piece goes in the finished product. So I have to see color. I have to see uniqueness. You know, and like I said, Tim's one of those individuals, especially where the school board was concerned. He would have done just that. Not going in with his own agenda. We have to stop approaching things with personal agendas and just start approaching things with some love and some sincerity. Everybody deserves a seat at the table. You don't have to earn the seat at the table. You deserve a seat at the table. And once you get that seat, what you do with that seat, that's your responsibility. But if I keep you at the kiddie table, what's that going to do? And as a society here in America, if you're not part of this, God, it's so frustrating. It is so frustrating hearing people, you know, talk about this mass shooting in Buffalo like it wasn't, you know, racially motivated and charged. Like, are you serious? How can you even make these statements? Like, white supremacy and racism is so embedded in our culture here in America that we make excuses for it. We really do, and it's heartbreaking, honestly. We are so much better. We can be so much better. We can make a beautiful finished product. We can have a beautiful puzzle if we can acknowledge the uniqueness of each piece. We have a pile of puzzle pieces. We have a pile of diversity. We just have to acknowledge it so we can put the puzzle together. And it's going to take individuals standing up and being vocal, not just posting on Facebook, not just having conversations in our groups, but people outwardly making the decision to make a difference, being active, coming out, voting when the opportunity's there. We talk about it, but at the end of the day, do we really get out and do it? There was less than 1,000 people that voted for the school board. Terribly low number. More than some recent years, but still terribly low number. When I was running for mayor, a fraction of registered voters came out and voted. We have to be willing to put our hand to the plow. I said this before when George Floyd was lynched and some of the protests started and some of the demonstrations started, that it's not a quick trip to the corner store. This thing's a road trip. It's a cross-country trip. It's going to take a while. Some people have been in this thing for a long, long time. But we have to be willing to acknowledge each piece of the puzzle. We have to acknowledge the differences in shapes, the differences in belief systems, the differences in sexual orientation, the difference in socioeconomical status. We have to be able to acknowledge the difference mental health situations and circumstances and be able to create a level playing field for everybody. Is that easy? No, that's not easy. It's not easy. You know, some of you, if you've tried to put together some of these puzzles that I tried to put together when I was a kid, you know, they'd have like 5,000 pieces and they were all real small. And sometimes it would get frustrating trying to figure out which piece went where, right? It would get frustrating trying to identify the uniqueness of the piece that I needed. And sometimes in life, it's frustrating trying to identify the uniqueness and trying to be able to find where that needs to go in the puzzle, but it belongs in the puzzle. Just because it doesn't look like you, just because their piece doesn't look like your piece, doesn't mean it's not needed. Every piece of that puzzle is needed, or the puzzle is never going to be completed. So you have to be willing to identify that. And sometimes it's a struggle. Sometimes it's a process. But some people, they've been trying to find these pieces for a while and they're tired. And it's time for more of us to step up and help look through those puzzle pieces, help put this puzzle together. One person can't do it. Two people can't do it. You know, you go to these city council meetings, you go to these school board meetings, and generally it's the same handful of people that are speaking in reference to public comment. Generally, there's the same handful of people that are trying to get involved in different things within the community. And we've got to get more involved. We have to get more organized. Our voices need to be a little louder, a little stronger, a little more consistent with each other, but still acknowledging our uniqueness. You know, I sat in one of the school board meetings a couple of weeks ago and listened to a Muslim student tell her story and about some of the things that she's had to deal with. And it was heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. And the fact that, you know, a student can share that and members of the community still just blowing it off as if it's not true. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. And I'll tell you like this, just because we don't think the same, just because you don't believe what I believe, because we pray differently, we live differently, because we might identify differently, that doesn't mean that you are worthy of any less respect than myself. And I would never treat you any less. You know, there's a lot of these you know, preachers and pastors, they like to, you know, quote scripture. Well, very simply, I need to love you as my neighbor, right? Love my neighbor as myself. Well, if I love you as myself, I'm not going to put you above me or beneath me. You're on my same level. And even though you're on my same level, right? Even though we're on the same level, we're still different pieces of the puzzle. And it's within that uniqueness, that individual uniqueness of each puzzle piece, that we can come together and create a beautiful finished product. It's with the individual uniqueness of each puzzle piece that we can come together and create a finished product, create a puzzle. I want to encourage you, Stay unique. Stay you. What you decide to do, and outside of something being immoral, unethical, illegal, be you. Be you. Be the best you can be. Be that unique puzzle piece. Because we need that unique puzzle piece to finish the picture. We need your individualism to finish the picture. But all of us being different, if we can't come together, we're not going to be able to finish the picture. We're not going to be able to finish the puzzle. We don't have to agree on everything. We don't have to like each other. We don't have to believe the same. We don't have to operate the same. But we do need to treat each other with respect. We do need to treat each other with some equality. We do need to create that inclusion. Take that pile of diversity, that pile of unique individual puzzle pieces, and create that final picture of inclusion. Hey, you guys, I really appreciate y'all joining me tonight. Thank you so very much. If you watch this later, comment, like, share, invite somebody to like the page, leave a comment on the page, leave a review on the page. We definitely appreciate it. If you are a business owner, if you are an entrepreneur of any kind, an author, a musician, whatever, a playwright, doesn't matter what it is, send your information to us so we can give you some shout outs and highlights on the page. Love to promote people. And as far out as we can shoot it, we'll shoot it. But definitely appreciate all you guys. Steve, thanks for tuning in. Definitely appreciate it. I appreciate all you guys, all the love, all the support. Again, be that unique individual puzzle piece so we can finish the puzzle and get the total picture. Definitely need it. You guys have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll catch you next time on Reflections with Dr. Gary Harvey.